So hey, my name is Garrett. I'm the head of database, data management, and analytics at SAP. And I have the privilege of talking 20 minutes about strategy with you. And before we get into any of that, I just want to make sure that you all see the bigger context that we're talking about. You all have heard about the X and the O, and how about the business technology platform is the intelligence piece in the middle that connects the two. And specifically, my area of responsibility is analytics and data management and database technology. And I will tell you in a second why we put the organization together in such a way and what the design point is behind that. I think the good thing is, if you have seen the keynote, and if you have been not living on the moon for the past 2 years, data and analytics is everywhere. And that is fantastic, because I think there is common agreement that there is enormous potential in doing data-driven decisions, gaining efficiencies through machine learning, creating new digital products, basically the whole value chain of digitization. And many of you will have a chief data officer or being exposed to any technology that works with data directly in your work life or in your organizational culture. And that's a lot of cause to celebrate, because it's a big shift in how business is being conducted and how we do work. And specifically, there was an estimate from the World Economic Forum that they estimate the value that is being generated by digitization for society and for businesses as about 100 trillion. That's the total effect of less fatalities through automated driving in traffic, as well as the creation of new products, as well as gaining efficiencies through automation. And that's a staggering amount, right? And also, we know that data is ever growing. As a matter of fact, it's growing at an extent that is really, really hard to picture. Because what is 40,000 exabytes? What is 40 zettabytes? There is no depiction anymore about the scale of data that we have. As a matter of fact, if you say 1 gigabyte is one brick, like one physical brick, 1 zettabyte will build the Chinese wall 238 times. That is a lot, and we have 40 times of that as of today. And by the year 2025, the estimate by IDC is that it's going to be 175 zettabytes. So it's even accelerating. And it's even harder to make any comparison to what that means. The only thing that I found that resonated with me was Blu-ray discs. Do you know Blu-ray discs? There was this funny technology that came in the market before streaming kicked in. I was one of the lucky ones who bought a Blu-ray player, so not little used these days anymore. If you would equate 175 zettabytes of Blu-ray discs, and make it a pile, it would go to the moon 23 times. It's enormous. And that is the interesting part for me in my job, that we have all that realization that data is important. We have all that celebration of what we can do with data as of today. And we all recognize there is more data to work with and fewer constraints. We have cloud computing. Practically, we can run compute and storage at any scale, right? We digitized most of our product selling. So, you can basically go in any market at any point in time. And yet there is so little value realization of all of the data that we have. There is this gigantic gap. And when I specifically talk to the customers that we interact with from SAP, we realize that while they sit on petabytes in many cases, they're only using terabytes of data. How can that be, right? You have this massive universe of information, and yet you're only zooming in on such a small part of it and really focusing on that small frame and not on the entire picture. And for me, the key to understanding what we do and the key to understanding the strategy is there to understand what we intend to do, what I intend to do, what the team is intending to do. I fundamentally believe that data is still enormously undervalued in the impact it could have on businesses, on us as humans, on the way we work, on the way how our society functions, because data has this unique ability for us to understand more about the world around us. We can see more. We can decide faster, we can decide with more confidence, we can be more impactful. So practically, data can be, or could be, a true superpower available for everyone. And I think that is an amazing realization. And I think once you start to understand our philosophy, how we go about data management and analytics, you start to understand now why we are doing the strategy in a certain way. because the true purpose of all we do is giving you or everyone this data superpower. And it doesn't matter as much if it's with all of SAP's products, with some of SAP's products, or maybe even with none of SAP's products. Because I fundamentally believe there is a bigger benefit in working with data beyond products and deliveries and companies. And the main point for us is that we think about data in a value chain, in a connection that brings together how you store data, how you manage its quality, and how you put it to use. And if you think about it, why many data projects have failed to succeed is because they don't think about this connectivity. They focus on specific parts of that. You see that all the time. And I can give you a practical example. If you agree to a quick group experiment, is that okay with everyone? Why does self-service BI fail so many times? I give you an example that we can all live through why it fails. If you would humor me to close your eyes just for a brief second, and I will describe you something and ask you a question about it. Is that okay? Ready to go? Some skeptics? 1, 2, 3, go. Okay, go. Okay, picture a person named Ed. Ed is a very orderly, structured man. He wears glasses. He is very focused in his own dealings and not interested in the rest of the world. Picture Ed. Does he work in a library? Or is he a farmer? What's the answer that comes to mind? Of course, a library. What else? Did you listen to anything that I said? That's how our human mind works. We work on prototypes, we work on references, we work on narratives. We don't run on statistics. Because if you would think about statistics, there are so many more farmers in the world that would fit the description of Ed than there are librarians that would fit the description of Ed. Statistically speaking, it makes no sense to think of a library. But it comes to our mind because it's an available picture that we have. It's the prototype that we have built from someone working in a library. And this is why we come to this conclusion. It's human bias. And that's the issue with self-service BI all the way. Because if it's not connected to a trusted and confident database, you're just going about your own biases all the time. You're confirming them, you're following up on them. You're not seeing anything new or learning anything different. And on the other side, if you think about now the gigantic potential of big data, how many times have you seen this enormous data lakes that didn't deliver any value? Why is that? Because you get into all this excitement and say, oh, our data lake is so big, we have hundreds of terabytes, or we have petabytes, it's so amazing, we have all the data. And then the simple question is, what are you doing with all of that data? And they say, yeah, well, it's not that easy. Why is it not that easy? Yeah, well, because we tried a data science project, we tried to give people access to it, but no one could really work with the data. Either it got stale, it was incorrect, the data itself was biased, the data lake was too slow, so no one could really work with it. And you start to realize just focusing on accumulating amounts of data is also not yielding any benefit. It's about how you connect those things, the potential that you have with the usage. And there is an enormously important part in the middle that right now the world is rediscovering. It's the importance of semantics and data quality. Basically how those things are combined. Data warehousing was old news, and suddenly it comes back in fashion. Because everyone realized that even if you have very little data of high quality, it has enormous value. As a matter of fact, better data is more important than a lot of data. For any type of usage, be it BI, planning, machine learning, data science, it doesn't matter. And you have large amounts of good data, even simple technologies, simple statistics, simple predictive models, simple data visualization yields enormous output over very sophisticated data science on a variety of data, which is not of any quality. So there is a lot of importance that we can learn by understanding the value chain of data. And this is the good thing, I think, for everyone here. This is independent of technology. This is something that everyone can take, everyone can deploy to their specific situation, and it will work every single time. So of course, we in our organization, we strongly believe in connecting this value chain. So we said, let's make a product portfolio which is connecting this by design. HANA Cloud to deal with any type of data, regardless if big or small, regardless or at rest or in movement. One technology to store and process data at scale. Data Warehouse Cloud, one semantic model, one view across a highly heterogeneous enterprise, independent of where and how it's being stored and how it's being used. And Analytics Cloud, one experience where we are strongly convinced covering not only the most important part about working with data, predictive BI and planning, but specifically help us to see beyond our biases with integrated machine learning and methods that guide us through data analysis. And that in accumulation is the HANA Cloud Services. It's one interconnected set of services to help us all gaining that superpower. So talking about HANA Cloud in specific, because in my mind this is one of the most groundbreaking changes that we have done, like the very inception of HANA 10 years ago. HANA Cloud is about making HANA an internet-scale database. And by definition, if we want that you can work with any data, we cannot be confined to main memory sizes anymore. Big data is a reality. So one of the key principles of HANA Cloud is that we go beyond main memory limitations. HANA gets a disk option, HANA gets a data lake option, and HANA integrates directly with remote object store systems from any hyperscaler. And the key part is that you can decide on where you put data assets in that memory hierarchy. So basically you are deciding now on the optimal cost-benefit ratio of any given data scenario that you have. And you can also scale, because in the HANA Relational Data Lake, for instance, you can go without any restrictions beyond petabyte scale sizes. And it's inherently connected to HANA's in-memory processing engine, so you get still interactive access to it. And only for high-density, high-value data that must be available all the time, you're moving it up the memory hierarchy into main memory store all the time. I think that's such a massive revolution in how we think about what HANA is and what HANA serves to you, because it ultimately allows you to get the value and the simplicity of HANA, of having one single, simple way to work with data, on data of any size, and of data in any locality. And we also have amazing partnerships on that way. And it's one of the partnerships that I can speak to the bottom of my heart, because when I started my career at SAP, also 10 years ago, in HANA database development, I was working on geospatial algorithms, so geospatial processing of data. And I had a colleague of Intel sitting next to me. And he was helping me with the micro-instructions of Intel to optimize the algorithms that I create for Intel hardware. That was such an amazing experience for me, because it was not only about solving the problem, it was also finding the most ideal way how this can be processed on hardware so it could scale to all of those crazy data sizes, and it could retain the property of HANA of doing all of those types of data processing in a single system. It was so optimized. And now this year with Intel, we just announced our partnership on Intel Optane, their persistent memory technology, which is also HANA to HANA's benefit. It increases the capacity, it increases restart times for power cycles. It gives us so many more options to optimize and to design the database, and it's truly a partnership that I can speak from the bottom of my heart is very valuable to us. You all heard Data Warehouse Cloud. It's the new product in our portfolio. It's the continuation of data warehousing. I know that most of you will have some ties to BW and some ties to HANA, otherwise you would not be here. Data Warehouse Cloud is continuation. And also based on the philosophy that I was sharing earlier of making everyone available to use data at a greater extent, we specifically designed it so it connects to everything that you have. You don't have to rebuild, you don't have to migrate. Basically you take BW4, you take a HANA system, and you can deploy Data Warehouse Cloud in conjunction with it. And that is a deliberate design point, because otherwise, the innovation cycle on your end just takes too long, because if you have to migrate all the time to get to any new value, it delays, the value for us by months, maybe by years. And with this hybrid deployment option, practically, you get to all of the value significantly faster. Data Warehouse Cloud, you have seen a demo, so I will not go into the depth of it. There is a booth, you can see it all and check it all out. The key really is one semantic view across a heterogeneous data landscape, providing new means of elasticity. If you haven't seen it, check out the space concept. I think that's groundbreaking in how you work and deal with data. And specifically designed for the business, meaning a data warehouse which is also striking a new deal between IT and business departments, where you interlock on data and reusable data assets in a way that gives flexibility to the ones who are using it and governance and control to the ones who are maintaining it at a corporate scale. And speaking of connecting the value chain of data, it's also the time for breaking new partnerships. Because if we want to truly be the one who help you to get more value out of data, we also must embrace the ecosystem that is working with data around us. And Informatica, SnapLogic, Adverity, very different companies of very different sizes. From big to small, all close partners to us, all part of this picture. When we say, let's bring the value chain together, let's go beyond SAP's companies' boundaries and embrace everyone who wants to be a part of that. And I really thank all of those great companies that they are shaping this with us together. Analytics Cloud, it's in a year now for time. It was the first cloud-native product that we have created. And I think it's truly coming from a deep understanding that I had. My first realization was when I came into analytics from HANA, that people are always trying to do the same thing, but there is practically no solution that offers to them to this in a convenient way. We all want to understand and learn from the past. That's basically the old BI part. We all want to be now in data streams real-time aware about what's happening around us and be informed by KPIs, by being subscribed to information. And we all want to predict and prescribe what's happened and what we should be doing about it in the future. And Analytics Cloud, I think, is the only product who has ever thought about bringing those things together in one experience. Because there is no differentiation when you work with data and doing any of those things. And I think that is so important because it's not about the product. It's about helping you to get value out of data. It doesn't matter if it's about predicting, planning, or looking in the past. It's all a part of the same picture. And very specifically, one of the key things that we are investing in with Analytics Cloud heavily is the whole part of integrated machine learning. It goes specifically back to the ad question that I was asking you. That you have automated data discovery, that you have hints in the system that guide you through data analysis, show you new things that you have not asked for even. So you can see more, understand more, and basically widen your perspective in working with data. I want to end on a short story. The first superpower that I have, witnessed was by watching Star Wars. It was Christmas time, I don't know how many years back, visiting our relatives. First time, I was exposed to the Star Wars world, and I was so impressed by the force, by the ability to do more, to see more, to be more impactful, basically, being like supercharged. And I think what excites me today the most is that realizing that, while this is all, childish dreams about, flying and superpowers and having all of those amazing things around you, that there is definitely one thing that can really all make us more powerful. And this is understanding, how we get data to a place where we actually see more, understand more, do more, and generate more impact with the things we do, just by using the data around us. So with that in mind, I thank you very much, and may data be with you.